Hi, EZosophy. It's Ann Sermons Gillis. And here I am in my RV, spending the summer in my RV, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the EZosophy philosophy and how we can change our lives from more of a struggle, suffering, and efforting life to an easier life. I'm talking about the ego-driven struggle and suffering and sacrifice that we've made up and we have wired into our body, and it feels very familiar. So how can we make it change? But first, let's go to what the philosophy is. EZosophy. So easy, we know what that is. That's non-efforting. That's flowing. And osophy, the word osophy comes from the goddess Sophia, which is the goddess of wisdom. So EZosophy is about the art and wisdom of easy, or at least easier living. So we can do a lot with our minds. We can recognize that we have developed a line of suffering that goes something like that, and that is, it's not honorable to have it easy. Everybody should suffer. No pain, no gain. People that have it easy are indolent and lazy. And so it's not about having an easy life and in that we don't have to work for a living. It's about not being, ease is about flowing and not efforting and stressing so much and accomplishing the things that we need to accomplish in life. And so we have affirmations. My favorite affirmation or 8-word miracle mantra is everything can be easy, or at least easier. And that goes a long way. And yet there's a lot more we can do, because brain research is showing us that these beliefs are hardwired into our brain, and they're hardwired into our body. In our body, they show up as emotions. In the brain, they show up as beliefs, but they're also these bursts of energy that are going off around these beliefs that keep us coming back to this same place in consciousness. So let's think about what can we do to change the belief that life is hard and it's hard all the time, and that we should struggle and suffer about everything all the time, which includes worrying, stressing out, that stress has become the favorite choice of our body because it's so familiar. So let's take an idea, which is everything can be easier. Okay, well, that looks really good and we can believe that, but what about it's safe for everything to be easier? Because at some level it's not safe, or we would create an easier life. Can you remember when things are going really well and then it's like we can't tolerate things going well and being easy and comfortable? No. And so we have to create some kind of drama. But what about if we could have less of that drama? I'm not saying that we have to let go of all of it. Maybe you don't want to. But there's a lot of it we can let go of. So how can we reprogram that? What can we do? So we need to get our body involved, both the left and right brain, so that we can create some new neurological patterns. So if you will do this with me, then I think you can recreate and begin to establish a new pattern in the body. So what we're going to do is, it's safe for my life to be easier and easier. And the way we're going to do is we're going to do some cross brain training, and we're going to use our right arm on our left shoulder and our left arm on our right shoulder, and we're going to alternate this and say this affirmation while we're doing this, so that we can get this affirmation into our body and retrain our brain, and also get our consciousness willing and ready to know that it's safe for things to be okay. It's safe that we don't have to have drama and upset, because they have defined us. When we're defined by drama, struggle, and upset, we don't want to let it go. It feels like we're going to disappear. So we're going to do another affirmation that deals with that as well. But let's just go right hand to left shoulder and do that with me. It's safe and okay. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. And let's go to the elbow now. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. Now let's go on the knees. You can't see my knees, but it's going to be the right hand to the left knee, left hand to the right knee. Do this with me. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. It's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier. Now we also need to know that it's safe and okay that we can exist and have an easier life, that we're still going to be here, that life will be okay, that we will still exist. So this affirmation is, it's safe and okay for my life to be easier and easier, and I will still exist. Well, let me change that up a little bit. Even if my life is easier, even when my life is easier and easier, I know that I still exist. So even if my life is easier and easier, I know that I still exist. Even if my life is easier and easier, I know that I still exist. So even though my life is easier and easier, tap with me on each side of the body. We're doing a cross-lateral training, both sides of the brain. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I know that I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I know that I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Elbows. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Yes. Knees. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. So we can do this sitting down, we can do it standing up, touching your right hand to your left foot, moving your left hand with your right foot, any kind of cross lateral that we do here. Another thing we can do to train that is the itsy bitty spider move. So even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. Even though my life is getting easier and easier, I still exist. So this is a great way to begin to train our body with our affirmations and our thoughts, because we want to not just train the brain, like the brain, the repetitive, just one area of the brain. We want to turn on the whole brain when we begin to reprogram and say our affirmations. So as I'm saying, you can do this foot to foot, knee to knee, and it's a really good thing to do it the backwards. So in other words, what you're doing is you're touching your foot behind you with your hand and your other foot behind you with your hand. And the more complicated you can get with your body and your touches, the more it turns on and stimulates different parts of your brain. So this is Ann Sermons Gillis, and I hope that you will make your life easier and easier. And remember that I love you.